Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to How We Homeschool. So, this morning I just want to take a minute to talk to you about 5 of my biggest regrets after 15 years of homeschooling. Um, Basically, I've been homeschooling for 15 years and counting. I still have 2 more to go. One just graduated in May of 2020 during a pandemic. And I have the other 2. One is she's 13, she'll be going in 8th grade. And my other one is 7, and he will be 1st grade, technically. So, my number one biggest regret in homeschooling is always buying new curriculum. Wasting money every year on new curriculum. So, we've gotten rid of, or I've in the process and in the past have gotten rid of everything that resembles a textbook. And that includes all the Christian curriculum that they try to sell you on an annual basis. So you'll go on YouTube or online and you'll see all these homeschool 2021, 2022 new curriculum hauls. And they've all got the newest curriculum. And they buy new curriculum every single year for their child. I haven't bought new curriculum in the past 5 years until this year for my daughter, because she saw a couple of things that I didn't already have, and she have for her. There's a couple of there's a fashion fun schooling book that she wants, and obviously I didn't have that for my firstborn because he was a boy. So just that, always buying new curriculum, spending way too much money on it every year. You just don't need it. You don't have to be mass consumers of the latest and greatest curriculum. You just don't. You can buy curriculum that generally can be reused for each child and can go throughout the years. You don't have to have a new grade every single year. So that would be my first biggest regret. And sometimes I still struggle with that. I still have to remind myself that it's not necessary, because mostly it's just the same old thing, just packaged in a new box. Literally. Because when I bought the curriculum, you go over it, it literally is the same English, the same writing. It doesn't change. A noun is a noun, whether they learn it in kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, or high school. Same thing for history. History is history. It pretty much doesn't change whether they learn it 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or high school. So, and the same with math. 2 plus 2 is 4, 1st grade, high school. It just doesn't matter. You can apply that to pretty much almost every subject. My second biggest mistake would be using textbooks and workbooks. And textbooks and workbooks, I'm including not just like public school, Christian, the typical Christian workbook and textbooks, the Abeka, ACE, BJU, just all of them. If you read a chapter and there are questions at the end, typically it's designed for a public school, or I'm sorry, a Christian school, a school setting. And it's just not needed in your homeschool. Unless you are homeschooling 20 children in one class at one time during the day, it literally is just not needed. It's not one-on-one learning when you start to replicate the public school system. Number 3 is comparing my children to, and our curriculum that we're using, or what it is we're learning, comparing that to other homeschool children or the public school, what the public school is doing, what their benchmarks are. Are my children falling behind? Comparison is the thief of all joy, and we really, really need to stop doing that. We need to stop watching other channels and comparing our homeschool to other people's homeschools. It's just not good for us, our mental health, and it's not good for our home, and it's not good for our children. Um, and it's not necessary, because as a public schooler myself growing up, when I went to public school, I can tell you that, yeah, there were huge gaps in my learning, and there are today in the public school system. It's not working, which is why you see so many people having problems with it. There are gaps in the public school. Your children are not going to fall behind just because they're not learning the same thing that at the same exact time that a public school child is learning. So that would be my third, is comparing. Okay, my fourth biggest regret would be not taking as many field trips, or having outdoor time and play as I should have. I felt like at the time I was taking a lot of field trips and doing a lot of outdoor things, but looking back on it, I definitely wasn't. Like, as an example, I would take my child's workbook and it was the typical Christian curriculum, drill and kill math workbook with 30 problems to do, to a park. Let him sit on a bench and do it. And I thought that that was good enough, because he was outdoors doing his schoolwork at a park rather than being behind four walls in a cold public school environment. And when I look back on it, it was, I just see it with sadness sometimes. I have a specific picture of him doing his schoolwork, and I'm sure it's fine to most people, but he should have been doing more. If we were at the park, he should have been doing park things. I should not have put those 30 drill and kill math problems above what he could have learned in that day, of even if he didn't learn anything and just had fun. It wasn't more important than that. So that would be my fourth biggest regret. And number five, my fifth biggest regret was always trying to keep the typical homeschool routine. So my thought was, I knew that it didn't take as long to do homeschool work as it did public school work, because my children could easily finish twice as much work of a public school student in less than half the time. So I know that that wasn't the problem. The problem was, if I thought in my head, and then because maybe I saw it or I read it somewhere, that we all needed to be up by 8 o'clock doing a morning basket, then I had to do that. Whether they needed the sleep or not, we had to do that. We had to get up, we had to do that morning basket. And it just, again, it's literally not necessary. So for some it might work, and it probably worked for a while for us. But realistically, when you set those time constraints on yourself, and it's not necessary to do if you're a stay-at-home parent, and even if you have other things to do, you can find other time to do that morning basket reading. If you're forcing that to happen, then it's not right. It's not meant to be in that moment. Our morning basket reading at this stage in our life, right now, is happening about an hour before bedtime, maybe right about an hour before bedtime. So that's when we'll do it. And that's when the child, it's not my doing, because I don't want to read an hour before bedtime. But that's when the child has come to me and is requesting to be read to his favorite book an hour before his bedtime. So that's when you have to be willing to bend and do what it is that they want to do when they want to do it, because that's when they're going to learn the most. So I hope this was helpful, and maybe it can help others out there who are possibly struggling with that, new homeschoolers or veteran homeschoolers. Maybe some of this can help you, and that's pretty much it. I have enjoyed and have been so blessed in my life to be able to be home with my children, to meet them where they are at with everything. So that's it for today. And if this was helpful, leave a comment. Or if you don't want to comment, you can send me an email at howwehomeschool3@gmail.com. Bye.